Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Michael Wynne. I'm the Digital Applications Librarian in the Center for Digital Scholarship and Curation at Washington State University. The majority of my work centers around Mukurtu CMS, providing support, training, outreach, and working with our development team. The Washington State University Pullman campus is located on the homelands of the Namipu Nez Perce tribe and the Palouse people. We acknowledge their presence there since time immemorial and recognize their continuing connection to the land, to the water, and to their ancestors. I also live and work on the territories of the Lekwungen and Wasanich peoples in Victoria and Saanich, BC. Mukurtu CMS is a free and open source content management system and community access platform built with the specific needs of Indigenous communities in mind for curating, sharing, managing, and providing appropriate access to their digital cultural heritage materials. Our team at Washington State University develops and maintains the code, provides support, outreach, and training for Mukurtu. Mukurtu is used by Indigenous communities around the world, as well as by other user groups. It gives communities a tool to decide how to make content available based on their own protocols for viewing and circulation. Mukurtu was originally developed by Dr. Kim Kristen, Michael Jumpin Jones, and the Warrmungu community in Central Australia to meet their needs for a digital access platform. The name, Mukurtu, is a Warrmungu word meaning dilly bag, a traditional safekeeping place for cultural materials. We have the great privilege to work with many Indigenous, Native, and First Nations communities as part of our development process. Their needs and feedback help guide development, refine our features, and drive our user support. There are a few core features that help set Mukurtu apart from other platforms in the content management realm. I don't have time to share these in depth today, but very briefly, cultural protocols allow for granular access to the content of a Mukurtu site, whether that means cultural materials, language, photographs, or anything else. Protocols are really the core thing that Mukurtu provides. There are extended community records for all types of material. This is the ability to provide multiple sets of metadata and narratives for any item and push back on the concept of a singular canonical record. There's a suite of import and export tools that we call Roundtrip. This supports digital return and exchange with other communities and institutions. Traditional knowledge labels allow Indigenous communities to provide user-facing information about a proper access and use of material. And finally, I'm going to speak more about the language tools that we do have, primarily for supporting language learning, education, and integration with other Mukurtu features. As I mentioned earlier, Mukurtu is a content management system that's designed to handle a wide range of formats and materials. This includes language resources, but it's not explicitly a translation tool. That said, we have put effort into Indigenous language support, including site-wide Unicode support, testing and revising the default fonts we provide, and users can always set their own fonts as well. We have a specific dictionary tool developed in conversation with language educators and language learners. We have broad support for audio and video throughout the site. And there are connections between language and cultural heritage resources, as those are truly inextricably linked together. I do also want to note that for most of our users, their languages are endangered, threatened, or effectively sleeping due to the impacts of settler colonialism. In many cases, that is due to very targeted efforts to assimilate or extinguish the culture and the language. Most sites, including Indigenous languages, do so in a somewhat limited fashion, since their users often have limited access to their language. So we see efforts to make the language as visible and prominently represented as possible, while still enabling users to navigate and learn in their dominant or primary languages. With that in mind, I'd like to take the rest of the time to show a few sites and highlight their use and representation of languages and translation. The Passamaquoddy people site, managed by the Passamaquoddy Nation of Maine, uses their language to contextualize the site, ground it in place, and honor relationships with neighboring tribes and their ancestors. On the front page, they've added a text and audio welcome in language, with a more extensive welcome on the About page, broken down into small segments with corresponding records and interlinear translation. The majority of the content on their site is built around a series of 1890 wax cylinder recordings of Passamaquoddy songs, which are the earliest recorded Native American voices. Speaking of content, the main content on most sites is what we call digital heritage items. Digital heritage items are at their core a combination of media and metadata. They move beyond the notion of one single canonical item or one record to allow for more context and relationships, and are built around a wide range of media formats. This example from the Plateau People's web portal highlights a video of Virginia Beavert from the Yakama Nation speaking in Ichiskeen about the importance of education. In addition to that video, they provided an interlinear transcription of the interview in English and Ichuskin, and the text of both languages is fully search indexed. Next, the Uraruna Digital Heritage Project works with Uraruna community members in Peru to describe materials from the Spencer Museum of Art at the University of Kansas in Uraruna, Spanish, and English. In this case, they chose to leave the site navigation in English, but as shown near the top of the screen, they've used our Community Records tool to create distinct records in each of the 3 languages for every item. Each record can be discovered independently, and then users can easily shift between them as needed. This is an example of the dictionary tool that we have, and this is again from the Plateau People's Web Portal. This here shows the Coeur d'Alene language. While we know that the term dictionary may not be the most precise or accurate, our community partners felt that it was a good choice since most users know what to expect from that. A site can support multiple languages and offers a variety of ways to search and filter in all represented languages. Shown here, the search results highlight the word in language, a translation, where provided, a recording of the word, and the name of the speaker who provided the recording. This site is Wheelquebjugin, run by the Pokagon Band of Potawatomi Indians. It translates as Sacred Bundle, which was inspired by the origin of Mukurtu itself. This dictionary word shows one way that they have used translations within sample sentences, and also highlights the ability to directly connect digital heritage items and dictionary entries. The last 2 examples show sites that spent additional resources on custom development to extend Mukurtu's tools. Here, the Ethno-Ornithology World Atlas focuses on bird names and related terms from around the world. Of note, you can see that they have a language picker tool. In this case, they are relying on Google Translate to power their interface and content translation. Finally, the Archive of Languages and Cultures of Ethnic Groups of Thailand have fully translated their site interface for a Thai-speaking audience, and the site content reflects that as well. We are currently undergoing some major development with a new version of Mukurtu planned for release fairly soon. We're looking forward to including substantial improvements in options for site translation and localization, many inspired by the innovative work of our users. On the content side, we are planning to support integration with the Oral History Metadata Synchronizer, or OHMS, which has impressive transcription and time-coding tools. One major consideration that we're trying to address is how best to support multiple layers of translation. Looking at that from the bottom up, the technical systems like Drupal and the other tech stack, this is generally not user-facing, and those systems do have their own translation efforts in place. Then we have the Mukurtu interface. That includes things like providing language switchers, efficiently displaying multiple translations, and offering vetted translations of field names, core Mukurtu terms, helper text, and support documentation. Then we have the content. The metadata, narratives, transcriptions, these are always user-generated, but we also want to ensure that it continues to display well. And finally, we are hoping to provide full translation packages in prominent languages. And as communities generate their own interface translations, we can help make them available for distribution, which is in line with our ongoing commitment to the core community of our users and our grassroots development philosophy. Thank you so much for your time. If you would like to learn more, all of our documentation is available at mukurtu.org, or you can contact me at support@mukurtu.org. Additionally, I've collected links to all of the sites shown and mentioned, should you be interested in learning more about those projects specifically. Thank you again.